All right, so I'm from Humboldt, Saskatchewan, Canada. Thank you. My dad was a school teacher for 37 years. My mom was a part-time school teacher. We were never poor, like we never starved, okay? I've seen what poor looks like. So we were never poor, but we never had money. And I know that because every time I asked for something, I always was met with a no, okay? In elementary school, I was so shy and so insecure that I would always dread noon and lunch, because at lunch, that's when people need to interact. That's when the kids interact. And I would always eat lunch by myself in elementary school, hoping that A, no one would pick on me, and B, no one would talk to me. And I was always envious of the other kids that were talking with each other. In high school, I had such little confidence, I didn't ask girls out. My strategy was to have girls ask me out. That didn't work out very well. Eventually, I got good in sports, and things opened up a little for me. But I tell you this, I want to start off with this because I wasn't a very high probability shot. If somebody was making a bet at the first conference, they wouldn't have bet that my life would have unfolded the way it did. Early 20s, Jaime Hepp had a lot of self-confidence issues, had a low self-esteem. The 40s version of Jaime Hepp, I like me. I like where I'm at. I'm on the road I'm on. I know that I'm still a work in process here, but I'm a high self-esteem guy and I don't lack any confidence. I think many of you are going to walk away from the conference today motivated and inspired to take advantage of the opportunity, but your challenge is going to be the same one I had, and that's going to be negative talk. It's going to be a lack of confidence, and you're probably going to say, I don't think I can do this at some point in time. And so I'm hoping this morning to give you guys some tools around building self-confidence. I've got 5 tips on how to build self-confidence for you this morning. Number 1 is preparation builds confidence. Preparation builds confidence. One of the best tips I got as a new person was to practice pitch in front of a mirror. How many of you guys have tried that? It was interesting. I'm told to practice pitch in front of a mirror. First time I did that, I was shocked that I couldn't even make eye contact with myself. I'm like, how shady do I look in the field that my eyes are all over the place? I'm like, man. But the more I practiced, there's not going to be a more critical judge of you than you. Your customers could judge you, your colleagues, the people in the office could judge you, but I'm telling you, you're going to judge yourself a lot tougher than anybody else. The more prepared you get. I still to this day practice in front of the mirror. It was such a good tool for me 20 years ago. Why would I stop practicing that great trait? And that preparation brings confidence to the table. Number 2, an insane work ethic builds confidence. So my son and I love baseball. I love hockey, obviously, being Canadian. But where I live in South Orange County, we play baseball all the time. My son's 9 years old, and so I coach his team, and we had spring break. It was kind of weird, like, hey, you guys have a week off. We're used to practicing or playing every day, 7 days a week. And so spring break, I'm like, what's that? Like, oh, everybody takes a break for a week. So I asked my son, I'm like, well, how many balls you want to hit during spring break? And he did his math, and we came up with the number of 630. And so when we came back after spring break, we're just, hanging out with the kids. We're like, well, how many balls did people hit? Most kids didn't really pick up a glove or ball. Everybody was shocked when my son said, well, I hit 630 balls. And I said to my son when our first game came, I'm like, whether you get up and strike out or whether you get up and hit a big hit, you should be really proud of yourself. You should be really proud. You hit 630 balls. Nobody else came anywhere close to that. And you should feel really confident that you're going to do well. And my little Mike Trout-loving little boy is up there, and he's got his little wiggle on. I'm just this proud dad of this confident young man who's up there ready to destroy and do well, and his confidence was there because of his insane work ethic. When the kids come back with report cards that are impressive, I never compliment their brains because they got half of them from me, so I know there's not going to be a lot to compliment, but I compliment the work ethic. I'm like, you work so hard. You started the beginning of the year off, your cursive wasn't so good. And you got some comments the first report card, and now look what your teacher says about you. You should be proud of your work ethic, son. And his confidence is building with work ethic. Mike Tyson back in the day, Iron Mike Tyson, okay, way back in the day, he had a major advantage walking into the ring on his opponents. Mike Tyson would walk into the ring knowing he was going to destroy his opponent, and unfortunately his opponents also knew as Mike Tyson was walking to the ring that this guy's about to destroy me. And his secret weapon was he'd size up the competition. Well, what's my competition doing? Well, they start the workout at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, we start at 4:30 then. They're done around 6 p.m. Well, we're done at 6:30 then. He'd size up his opponent and he'd add layers to it. Kobe Bryant, when practice was done, made 400 shots. Every practice for 20 years. When practice is done, he'd make 400 shots. So I wonder, what are the things we can do? Well, you can be the first guy to show up in your business. I complimented, I don't know who it was. First guy showed up here today. I've got your picture in my mind. First guy to show up. I was one of the last guys to leave last night for a little mixer. I looked around, I'm like, I guess everybody's gone. First one in, last to leave. An insane work ethic will drive your confidence to a whole new level. The third thing I have for you is long-term perspective. I love this. I'm going to read this, long-term perspective. Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard University. After more than 50 years of research, so he wasn't studying millennials, he wanted cross generations, baby boomers, millennials, everybody. He concluded that long-term perspective is the most accurate single predictor of upward social and economic mobility in America. Long-term perspective turns out to be more important than family background, education, race, intelligence, connections, or virtually any other single factor in determining your success in life and at work. Thinking about the long term, the long game, it helps you not get discouraged in the short term. You keep grinding when you're thinking long term. The fourth thing I have is discipline. I remember a day I'm driving to work and I could tell I didn't feel good, and I felt a little queasy, and I pulled over and I opened the door and I threw up. So thank goodness I didn't throw up in my car. Must have ate something bad the night before, something, not sure, but I turned around and I'm on my way home. And I was just going to call in, hey, I can't come to work today, I'm sick. I must have some kind of bug. And in that moment, as I'm driving home, I just somehow turned the car around to go back to the office. I just thought to myself, most people are going to go home. Me, I'm just going to go to the office and play it out, see what happens. And I met a bunch of applauding leaders commending me for having that type of discipline. I can't tell you the number of days, and you guys all know this to be true. Like, how many times has this happened to you where you felt like quitting for the day? Not quitting like, see you later to the business. Just the day is done, and it's just not a good day. And I stayed in the pocket and got big numbers in the last hour. I know this has happened to you guys. If you've been here for a year, this has happened to you 20, 30 times. What happens to your confidence every time you overcome your emotions? Here's what Stephen Covey says about this. He says, only the disciplined are truly free. The undisciplined are slaves to moods, appetites, and passions. The successful person has formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. Successful people don't like doing them either necessarily, but their dislike is subordinated by the strength of their purpose. Discipline builds confidence. And the last one I have for you, and this one I might have to repeat this, and you might want to You might want to write this down. This is near and dear to me. This is a Dale Carnegie quote, and it's point number 5. The way to develop self-confidence is to do the thing you fear to do and get a record of successful experiences behind you. Dale Carnegie, straight from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The way to develop self-confidence is to do the thing you fear to do and get a record of successful experiences behind you. So, it's a good question. What comes first? Confidence or results? It's a good question. I mean, just kind of think about this. What comes first? Your confidence or results? Now, if somebody is trying to artificially inflate my confidence and tell me I can do something, even though I've never done it, it seems a little manipulative to me. I don't really focus on trying to build somebody's confidence. I just try to help them get the result. If I help them get the result, the confidence is going to come based on that quote by Dale Carnegie. I mean, think about this. We all saw this. The New England Patriots, when they were down 28-3. So today, if you were a part of that team, the New England Patriots, when they came back from Atlanta, how many of you guys watched that Super Bowl? So their rings, and John's smiling because he was going for Atlanta, so sorry, John, I'm not trying to pick on you, but their Super Bowl rings have 283 diamonds in them to represent the 28-3 comeback that they came back from. But it's not like on the sidelines, Brady and Belichick were like, come on, guys, we can do this, it's the Super Bowl. No, they were just looking for a little victory. Like Brady, like, hey, guys, on the next drive, let's score. I don't care if it's a field goal, I don't care if it's a touchdown, but we're gonna move the chains, inch by inch, yard by yard, and that momentum, we all know, the final score finished 34-28 in overtime, but Brady's got a ring that has 283 diamonds on it to remind him and every other player, you came back. That confidence starts with small little victories. So I always say, like, what kind of micro details can you get into? Can you run a good crew meeting today? Can you come into work and run a killer crew meeting? Can you make a girl smile today? Little victory. Can you find successes in overturning an objection? Can you say no today to one thing that's slowing you down? Maybe you're playing too many video games or too much time on social media. Can you just say no today to that? And what does that do to your confidence? These little victories keep fueling your confidence. Over the years, I've become obsessed with this. I got a phone call years ago from Tedford Pika saying, hey, Hepp, I want to run a marathon with you. I'm like, I ain't running no marathon, man, 26.2 miles. He says, 0.5% of the U.S. population has ran a marathon. I'm like, so out of every 200 people, one has ran a marathon, the other 199 didn't. Sign me up. I ran a marathon. My legs, I thought they were going to fall off by the end of it, but I ran a marathon. Earlier this year, I was on a trip to Belize. A friend got married in Belize, and we were snorkeling the day before the wedding, and there was a shark in the water. And I said to my snorkel guide, I'm like, hey, there's a shark. He goes, oh, yeah, touch it. I'm like, really? He says, yeah, touch the shark. I swim down, I get closer to the shark, and the closer I got, the bigger I realized the shark was. I mean, it was as big as I was. My hands are getting closer. I got about an inch away from touching it, and I pulled back. I didn't touch the shark. And I came back up to the surface, and my guy is laughing at me. I'm like, I couldn't do it. I was just terrified. He says, Jamie, it's a nurse shark. I'm like, I don't care what, it's a shark. He says, they've got rounded teeth. It's not going to bite you, and if it does bite you, it's not going to hurt that bad. I'm kind of like, and we're back on the boat, and I said to my wife, I'm like, I'm going to hate myself for not touching that shark. Tomorrow's the wedding. I'm like, you got to pick me up in the morning and you got to take me to go see some sharks because I have some big regrets with this. My confidence is going down because I'm a wuss. I know I'm from Saskatchewan and we don't have a lot of sharks in Saskatchewan, but I got to do this. So he picks me up. Little did I realize he took me to the craziest shark-infested water with stingrays, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh no. There must have been 30 to 50 sharks swimming around feeding. They're all feeding. Fishermen are out there and stuff. I'm like, okay. I jump in. The first time I go down, and I'm like, I had the guts. I touched it. I was happily surprised that the shark did not flinch like I thought it would and didn't turn around and look at me like I thought it would. It just kind of expected a human to touch it is what it felt like. Fast forward the clock about an hour later, I am timing. I'm looking for the biggest shark I can find, and I'm timing it so I can not only touch it, I grabbed a hold of the shark and swam with it. I'm telling you, my confidence surged. The hardest thing I probably have ever done is I fasted for 144 hours. I went 6 days depriving myself of food. I just looked at it like, if I can deprive myself of a physical need like that, what can't I do? Going door to door, obviously is a piece of cake. Building a crew, piece of cake. Again, doing these things and getting successful records under your belt builds enormous confidence. So, many of you guys probably developed the love for basketball thanks to Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors this year. Is that a fair statement? Oh, I thought you guys would have been more excited about that. I saw 4 million people on TV in Toronto going crazy for a parade. I was lucky enough growing up with watching Michael Jordan as a teenager, and he left some scars on my mind as a teenage boy growing up that, this guy's just developed a real love for basketball. I've got a Derrick Rose video that I'd like to show you guys. This is a kid from Chicago. He's 6'3". He's an inch taller than me. So there's not a lot of guys that you'd bet on being great NBA basketball players that are my size. If I'm picking an NBA guy, give me LeBron, 6'8", 300 pounds. That's my guy playing basketball. I don't know if I'd be betting on Derrick Rose, so please show up the video from Mr. Derrick Rose.
Hey, Derrick in the back. You won the Rookie of the Year award. You made your first All-Star team a year ago. Now people around the league are talking about you taking the next jump to becoming a top 10 player in the league. I know you've never been one to back away from a challenge. What kind of expectations do you set for yourself individually going into year 3?
It's high. The way I look at it within myself, why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league? I don't see why. Why can't I do that? I think I work hard. I think I dedicate myself to the game and sacrifice a lot of things at a young age. And I know that if I continue to do good, what I can get out of it. And if that's me going now or doing whatever, I'm willing to do it because I know that in the long run, it's going to help me.
So I'm quoting him. Why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? I think I work hard. We talked about that insane work ethic building confidence. I think I dedicate myself to the game. I sacrifice a lot of things at a young age. I know that if I continue to do good, I know what I can get out of it. I'm willing to do it because I know that in the long run, it's going to help me. In 2011, at the age of 22, Derrick Rose became the youngest NBA basketball player to win the Most Valuable Player. So my question is, why not you? Why not you? I'm hearing the crowd now. Why not you? Why can't you make a long career in Sidcor? Why can't you build an amazing organization? Why can't you create a great override income and take care of yourself and your family? Why can't you live your dreams? Why not?